Welcome then to today's live. Jackie here from the School of Calisthenics. Thank you, a load have already joined. And today we're going to be looking at Cossack squats. A lot of you have been saying that you are enjoying your lower body training just like a lot of us have been at home. And the Cossack squat is one of those movements that if we take this concept of rather than just endless stretching to get better, more flexible, more mobile in certain positions, give the brain an outcome to focus on, and that is going to give it a reason to want to be strong and stable and move well and have that sort of flexibility in joint, range of motion that is going to stay with us for a long time. And when the hips feel good, the body feels good, that's stacked up on top of it, and then that definitely makes the brain feel good as well. So if you're happy and ready to get started, what we're going to do is, as we often like to do in all of our movements, is to understand a little bit of a test retest. So we're going to do something and then test to see whether we have improved it or not. So your starting point before we've done anything, when we're just completely fresh straight out of the boxes, we're going to do two. An overhead squat, so hands are going to go overhead. We're going to drop down to the bottom of our squat position, and then we're going to come back up. And I just want you to do a couple of those. Maybe pause at the bottom and you see, what does that feel like? How tight do the hips feel today? Are my feet leaning forward? What's happening with my arms? Because that tells us a little bit about the rest of that kinetic change. So when I come down, am I keeping a straight line with those arms and my chest up? Or are my arms falling forward when I'm in that shape? Or what are my knees doing? My knees caving in? Or am I able to keep the knees tracking with my toes and find that nice bottom position? That's one. How does that feel? We're going to go through some stuff and hopefully improve it and hopefully get to a full Cossack squat. Your next one is going to be, this being a bit more specific to your Cossack squat, you're going to go wide with your legs. Hands are going to go out in front. You can make a little triangle look through them. And then you're going to drop to one side, then you're going to drop to the other. To start with, just have your feet comfortable. Don't go too wide, but not too narrow. And maintain both feet being flat to start with. And just see what does that feel like when you drop into those positions. How do the hips physically feel tight on the side that you're going down to, or is it more the hamstring adductor on the leg that's out there? But ultimately what we want to try and do in this Cossack is we're going to come all the way down to this bottom position here and drive back up. And to give us a little bit of context, like that for me was something that a year ago would have been absolutely terrible. I used to play professional rugby, retired 7 years ago, and I used to pull my hamstrings more than 10 times. So there was a lot of tightness around, particularly on the back of my hips, particularly in the hamstring, high hamstring area, bottom of glute, and particularly around the adductors as well. So being tight around there has been something that I have a lot of experience about. So we're going to loosen off there's a few things at play. It's a great one because, as you can see, when we're going into this position, we're having to load up strength on the side that we're coming down onto. So there's a lot of glute strength going on in that position. And then we're also challenging that hip mobility to drop into a deep position on that side, but also the adductors and hamstring on the other side. So if you're going to go for one thing you want to get good at to help with your lower body and your overall mobility, a Cossack squat is a great one for that. It also requires some ankle mobility when we're dropping down into that bottom position. Like if I'm tight through the ankle here, I'm not going to be able to get up. I'm not going to be able to get down. My heel is going to have to come up off the floor. But don't worry, we're going to work through some stuff, and that'll be one of the progressions that we're going to work through. So follow along with me, ask any questions in the comments as we go, and we're going to focus a little bit first on just mobilizing out into the hips a little bit, particularly into the back of the hip socket and the glute. We'll look at some stuff to help those ranges that we're going to try and drop into those deep positions of that squat. We'll do some specific stuff with the legs out to help with that sort of adductor hamstring area, and we're going to build it up then all together. Just think though that as what I'm looking for today is not fix it and like do something magical to change it. You're going to have to spend some time working through some of these. But what we're hoping for is what we just did then as a test retest. When we come back after this, you're going to check to see has that improved? Does it feel any better? And if you're one of the special ones, you might do your first Cossack squat today. That'll only come if you're actually already pretty well mobile in these sort of deep positions. But for the rest of us, it's a journey that's going to take a little bit of time, and you just have to build up on this progressively. So don't try and force anything today. Come with me. I'm going to give you a few tools that you're going to be able to use to help you get into these positions. So first one we're going to do is mobilizing out the hip joint. So I'm going to take the right leg. I'm going to take all my weight through that right knee. I'm going to cross the back leg over. I'm going to let this leg, this foot kick over to the side. So this hip on the right, this femur is in relative external rotation. And then all I'm going to do is sit down into the bottom of that position. And I'm just going to have a little bit of a hunt around. I'm using the head of the femur there to sort of massage into the back of that hip socket. So there are no sort of hard and fast rules of this. It's a seek and destroy. You'll see me moving around. I'm trying to find where it feels tight and grotty. When I twist over for me to this side and drop down with a little bit of backwards and forward motion, that's when I'm feeling a nice release around the back of that glute. Oh, that feels good. So then we'll swap over. Take the left knee, bring the right knee behind it, left foot is out to the side, taking as much weight into that left hip as I can. And again, and it might not be the same. It might be that you need to rotate over to the other side. I've got definitely a difference between my right hip and my left hip for sure, but into about there. And I'm just going to try and relax into that, just release and let that guy go. So we're looking at sort of like 30 seconds, a minute or so on here, just to get the back of this hip socket loosened off and sort of telling the brain that we're going to be asking to go into some deep shapes on this. Okay, so that should feel a little bit looser around the hips a little bit. From there, what we're going to do is you're going to come down onto your bum. You're going to support your hands behind you, feet outside of hips, and then we're just going to rotate one side in, bring it back, and then the other side in. So now we're looking at that internal rotation. I want you to actively pull it in. So I'm thinking about pulling down through, sucking that into the joint as I pull down. So be really conscious about how we're moving. What I also don't want to do is move and shift my whole body over, because then all of a sudden I'm moving inwards rather than can I fix my hand on the wall. Can I fix my chest forward and nothing moves other than that internal rotation of that hip. And again here, so you shouldn't see my body twisted. You're going to feel like it wants to. If you want to go for level 2, you're going to take the other leg, rest that on top, and then think about taking this hip away from that foot. And this foot's just applying a little bit of pressure, and you can push into it a little bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Top sides. So now this one comes in, right leg or foot over on top, taking this hip that way, pushing up against the resistance, just a little bit of that leg, just 50%. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good. Just one more movement for that. Should feel a little bit better. You can do a couple more reps of those if you feel not necessary, but we want to get into a little bit more specific stuff. So, as I said, that bottom position requires us to be in a deep squat, effectively on one side, but the other leg is out straight. So I want us to drop down now into your deep squat position and just have a little bit of a mosey around. Maybe look down. You admire the vibes on your socks. These are my birthday socks from Thursday. If you haven't noticed, feeling pretty grand. They've got mushrooms on them as well. So you're gonna like them mushrooms, aren't you? Right, a little bit of movement side to side. Just getting used to being in that bottom position. Hopefully feeling like, oh yeah, for me that right hip, I want him to just sit back into there. I'm just trying to encourage that by the way I'm moving and just exploring a little bit side to side. It might be for you, you need to be using your hands a little bit on the floor and you're up on your toes slightly because your ankles are a little bit tight. But that's where you're going to start, but just gradually, what you'll see is just nudge yourself side to side, And then just gradually see whether can you get your heels one by one. So touching, but not touching, touching, but not touching. Just gradually trying to get them down somewhere closer. You might not get them down to the floor, but somewhere closer to the floor. Once we're in and a bit more comfortable in this position, we're then going to take that rotation inwards that we were just doing, but now we're loading up onto that one side. Knee comes across, trying if I can with the other side to keep that heel down on the floor. You can see that, so my right heel is down, knees coming across, if we can. If you need to, use your hands for a little bit of support and come up onto your toes a little bit if you need to, but just know that what you're trying to get to is a position where your heels are staying down onto the floor as we work through into these positions. We'll do one more each side, nice, slow and controlled. You're getting used to being on that one leg. You imagine in my Cossack squat, we just need to get that guy out over there, but we'll work on it. But this side is looking pretty good when we're into that bottom position. Okay, so that's coming inwards. Let's just shake that out a little bit, because some of you staying in the bottom of a deep position for that long is going to be difficult. Remember, can be up on your toes initially, but we're trying to get back to being weight distributed towards those heels and the heels being flat on the floor gradually over time. Maybe over time in the session, but over time in weeks and months that you're working on these things. For some of us, it's going to take a lot longer depending on how jacked up and tight those hips are. Okay, so that was a lot of work of that internal rotation. Let's work at getting some space into the hip to get to driving those knees outward. Get some of that external rotation and creating some space for those bottom positions. So meet me down back in your deep squat position. Just that little bit of movement side to side, just as we get in there to get comfortable. And then your job is, we can start by using the elbows a little bit to push the knees out. Hold that position. Hold it with your glutes, so when you take your hands away, the knees don't come in. And then relax. So drive them out. Now squeeze with your glutes to try to keep those knees out, so when I move my hands, my knees stay there, rather than I move my hands and knees drop back in. Yeah? So push it out there. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. Now we're going to do 3 reps where you're not going to use your elbows to do it. You're just going to drive them out. So push out. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back in. You feel your glutes working at the back here. Squeeze, push those knees out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. One more of these. Drive out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Shake that out a little bit. Whilst we're doing that, we'll just look at the ankles a little bit. So just going to turn the ankle out to the side. Roll it out to the side and then rotate the body with as well. Just trying to encourage an opening around the front of that joint, so around the front of the ankle. Often we get a lot of tightness there, and then as well you get a little bit of tightness in the back of the calf and the around the back of the calf, and the Achilles get a little bit tight as well. But particularly, just this little joint mode can be really useful for people. So just turning that ankle outside, rotating a little bit as well. You do the same thing where you're going to put the so now we're going to open up around the side a little bit more. So I've got a 90-degree angle with my foot to the other foot, and then I'm going to do the same thing, just trying to roll it and create opening effect down. Yeah, so I go steady with it, particularly if you've ever injured your ankle before. We're just looking at opening that guy up, just freeing a little bit of space and just telling the brain it's okay to let this joint have a little bit more range rather than being stuck and stiff and rigid in that sort of position that we're normally in. So we're going to the side, turn to the side, rotate in a little bit, good, turn out, rotate, turn out, rotate, turn out, rotate, good, and then create that 90-degree angle, and then the same thing, rotate forward. Again, now we're trying to open up that outside of the ankle. Don't force it, just mobilizing it, just encouraging it to open up and create a little bit more space in there that we're then going to try and utilize. Good. So just shake that out a little bit or wiggle them around. Hips also should feel a bit more open. So if the hips are feeling a little bit more open and a little bit more mobilized, the ankles are as well. We just need to do something, or one thing, we need to do at least one thing, but we need to do something about this wide position. That leg is going to be out to one side. So we're going to take a Romanian deadlift type position, but we're going to go in this nice wide shape. So feet nice and wide, and then my job is I'm going to try and stick and push my bum backwards is the first motion. So bum back. I'm going to stay long, so I'm thinking about pivoting and hinging down from the hips as I push the bum back, but I'm not trying to slump down with the chest. I want to try and make my chest reach out towards you guys and girls. You'll feel that through your hamstrings and your adductors, then come back up. Each rep, you might feel like I can just move my feet a tiny bit wider. Same thing, bum, stick that bum back, really push it back. As you push it back more, you're going to feel like trying to stick your bum towards the wall behind you. You're going to feel it in through those hamstrings and adductors, and then pivoting at that hip, hinging down, squeezing, almost think about squeezing your stomach down towards your quads, and then stay long through the back. Come back up. Do one more. I'll show you side on. Slide in. Okay, so hinging at the hip, pushing bum back, staying long through the spine. So rather than me just coming down to the floor like this, I'm trying to stick that bum backwards, and I'm trying to stay strong through midsection. So that back stays nice and flat. And I'm trying to get as low as I can without just rounding it. And then drive back up. Good. We're going to take that a little step further, just a little bit more. So we need to do something specific for the Cossack squat, where we're going to come down and we're going to look at a little bit of movement to the one side. So I'm going to stick my bum back, and then I'm going to come and twist over to this one side, and then you're going to feel more of a strength through that left-hand side. Again, try and stay in a nice shape rather than just slumping down. It's not about where you can reach to, it's just about coming here, and you're just going to give me a few little pulses in this position. You're going to really feel that on that hamstring. But again, we're just telling the brain, the stretch reflex in the muscle, we're just telling it just a gentle little pulse. We're just telling it, it's okay here, it's fine, it's safe. We're going to use this later. Come back up, get to the other side, same thing, push the bum back, but we're just coming over here now. Again, I like to keep my hand on my chest just to make sure that I'm not just slumping it down, and then just push that bum back, and then just a few little pulses, very small, not forcing anything, just an encouragement to the brain, that stretch reflex in the muscle that wants to just latch on. We're just trying to tell him, it's okay here, it's not bad, it's all right. Yeah, it feels a little bit tight, but it's okay, we're going to use this later. It's okay, baby. And then some she's like, what, Jacko? I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. We'll work this out. Good. Right, so that should definitely feel a bit looser. Go into your overhead squat, see what that feels like. One from the front for me, I'll show you one from the side as well. Like that's feeling nice and loosey-goosey. And then your side position, do you feel like you're ready? You might be getting into a bit of a deeper position. You don't have to test that Cossack out, that's just me checking that it's feeling good. How's that feel? Give me a little bit of feedback. Andy Parnell, loving the top socks. Thank you, brother. We feeling a little bit looser, a little bit better already. Got Nick Gray on Facebook. Yeah, and so some thumbs up. Yeah, just give us a little bit of a thumbs up saying that I feel a little better. We'll get into the nitty gritty then of some of these regressions for our Cossack, but it should feel a little bit more open at the ankles, a little bit more open at the hips, and therefore when we're going into just something simple like that deep squat position, as well as those wider shapes. Lawsy, too hot. Are you too hot now? You need to have an early session. Apologies. Maybe chuck some ice on your head. Right. So, first point of call is, or one of the things, first things we're going to look at is right at the bottom of the chain. So the bottom of the chain, my point of contact with the floor is going to be my foot. And if my ankle is tight, that's going to have an effect on everything else further up the chain. So what I'm going to look at is allowing myself to have a little bit of a heel raise. So that might be taking, this is a book Tim bought me for my birthday, The Daily Stoic. So you can use a book or anything that you can, it's a little bit of a heel raise, a little bit of a wedge. So I'm going to put that down underneath my right heel, and then that's going to allow me, when I come down into this shape, so I take my wide position, and I come down into the position, all of a sudden that feels a bit easier. Yeah, and that's just because I'm effectively giving myself a little bit of additional, like fake dorsiflexion in a way. Plantarflexion is that way, dorsiflexion is pulling up. So the bottom, when I go into the bottom of this squat, when we're lacking dorsiflexion, it's very difficult for us to get a position where we can shift enough of our body weight over our base of support, and therefore you feel like you're just going to fall backwards or you can't hold it. So jacking that heel up a little bit gives you the opportunity to feel what this bottom position is like. And then there's something that we're going to change as we go into this. As I come down, I'm going to let that foot rotate, and the toe's going to point up to the sky. You see that? And then I'm into this position. I want to be strong in there, feeling like I'm using my adductors and pushing my bum back and trying to lift my chest up nice and tall, and then driving up out of there. Okay, have a feel of what that's like. So I can drop in, I can hold that bottom shape, and I can drive back out. The other thing that's quite nice when we're in the bottom of this position is just to sort of reach over towards that side, maybe use your hands, but my turning here and then trying to get myself chest over towards this foot, I really then start to feel a little bit of that stretch through that hamstring, which in here is nowhere near what I need to do, but this gives me a little bit of additional extra work in that position, particularly if you feel like your hamstrings are tight and are restricting you. I know a lot of people always feedback to us about the hamstrings. Cool. So drive back up. The other option you've got, and you might go on to use potentially these two things together, could be, and I'll swap sides. Make sure we're swapping sides each time. And the number of reps you do this is for you to like explore where you're at, rather than me dictating the exact number of reps that you're going to do. But I might take a little bit of weight, a little bit of something to allow me to counterbalance. It could be that I put a chair in front of me that I can hold on to, or a set of rings holding down, but something that gives me a little bit of purchase to allow a counterbalance, whether it's an actual weight or whether it's a big bottle, like a litre, like this is what, 2 kilo, but if you've got like a bottle of water, you can hold on to that, hold on to the table in front, chair, anything, something to allow you to provide some counterbalance. I'm going with the heel raise again to start with, and then I'm going to drop down into this position, let that foot turn up, and then the further this weight is away from me, the more counterbalance it's providing. So I can drop into here. If I want to make it a bit harder, I can bring it towards my chest. I can put it on above my head. Just make sure I put my head, you're keeping the neck in a neutral position. And then if you wanted to, again, coming in and holding it really close to you, that's going to challenge that position gradually. So easiest is out here, putting it closer in, and you can do that progressively. So from here, do. It's always really important that when we're doing some of these movements, we're finding progressive ways to make them slightly, gradually harder. So you could also go with a thinner book. Gradually, and that's something that we need to do so that we're not reliant on that heel wedge providing that dorsiflexion for us. So gradually reducing the height of that heel wedge that or heel raise that you're using, as well as doing some actual specific release work. So get into a little bit of myofascial release, foam rollers, massage balls into the back of those calves and soleus, and then also some stretch work for them. We've got a whole, in our lower body foundations course, everything covered in that for that, in terms of release exercises and lengthening exercises for your calves. So check out the lower body foundations classroom on if you haven't yet, as part of our online memberships. Okay, so the other thing around getting rid of the heel raise is a little bit of a guy you won't necessarily know too much about. He's located inside the socks. Is anterior tibialis. That's the guy at the front and the outside of the shin, and his job is to actually help us stay forward in that position rather than falling backward in that bottom shape. So if your calf and your ankle is tight, that's going to restrict your position to get in there. But if anterior tibialis isn't strong enough to hold you, or you're not able to activate him effectively, it's difficult for us to stay in those bottom positions. So one thing we're going to look at is, and we'll use a counterbalance to start with, and then we can get rid of it, is coming down into our bottom position. So I'm going to come down to this. So I'm actually going to let my my heel come off the floor slightly, but then I'm going to use my counterbalance to let me sit back. I'm going to get used to coming onto my toe and then sit back. And when I'm in this bottom position, I'm trying to squeeze tight with anterior tibialis here to keep the knee forward, rather than if I let the knee go, I'm just going to fall and rock backwards there. So I'm going to try and keep the knee forward in that shape, come back up. So as I come down, it might be that I'll let my heel come off just to find this bottom position, get used to this bottom position. And now I'm going to think about how am I going to maintain myself staying forward using the counterbalance by letting the heel now go down, squeezing with anterior tib, and then hold that bottom position. The more comfortable you can get into this bottom position and used to that bottom position, the better that is going to be in terms of telling the brain this is a shape that we're going to try and make. Let's try that on the other side. So coming down, letting the heel come off slightly, getting used to this bottom position. And I'm going to use the counterbalance. I'm going to sit into that bottom shape, hold that there, squeezing with anterior tib, and then drive back up. Job then is to think about how do we get rid of this using that counterbalance less and less and less, where we're going to allow ourselves initially to find that bottom shape. The easiest thing to do is going to be to let that heel come down off the floor, but just now using your hands just a tiny bit, nothing else other than nothing else to support you, no heel raise, no counterbalance, but that heel is going to be slightly off the floor and your hands are using to help you support. And then I'm going to come back up and I'm going to swap sides. I'm going to let that foot turn out and up. I'm going to let that heel come off the floor a little bit. If it needs to, I'm going to use my hands for support. So follow me along with a few of these, and I'm going to change it gradually. So just let it feel a little bit easy. Use your hands maybe on this next rep, but don't use the hands as we come up and we come across, but we are still letting the heel come off the floor a little bit. So using the hands, maybe not. And then this last one, come down, heel is off. I'm getting used to this bottom position and then coming back up with no counterbalance. Okay, have a little break. Just going to grab a little drink. See some questions. Hips and ankles are feeling quite loose. Nice, Mark Bully on YouTube. Hello, guys on Instagram as well. How are we finding that? How we're leading? Yeah, so Vincent says he needs 2 books. Well, if you need a slightly larger heel raise, that's cool. So Kedar is asking about getting into that deep squat position for a couple of problems. Looking at focusing on the hips and the ankles, tackle those 2 things together. Your full cleaning up your full squat pattern, that's something we've got a full program for in our lower body foundations online program, which you get access as part of our online memberships. 50% off those at the moment and a 7-day free trial. So try that out. Try the lower body foundations program out for free for 7 days and see how much improvement you can make in that squat. So Paul H, tight in the back of the knees. That's potentially going to think that you've got gastroc, so that one of the gastroc, one of the calf muscles comes up and crosses the knee, but also you've got hamstring coming and crossing the knee as well. So it could be a little bit potentially of both of those 2 things. Likely to be potentially, I say a little bit of both hamstring and gastroc as well, the calf muscle. So likely to be one of those. Lawsy, lower body's feeling slightly oddly strong. Great. Okay. Sweating buckets are here. Good. Right, it wasn't supposed to be too much of a workout, it was more a little bit of a tutorial style. Right, this last things we're going to come through, we need to look at the job of taking away this heel raise now. So there's a number of different ways we could do it, but this is one that I find is quite useful because once you start using the heel raise and you start using a counterbalance or something like a chair or whatever to hold on to, you start getting, it allows you to feel that position, but it gets you used to those as a bit of a crutch to lean on and not necessarily building the strength for yourself to stay there without them. So this is where I like to utilize a position where we start coming down and let the heel come off. So the heel is off. But before I transfer back over now, I'm going to let this heel drop down as I push away. You see that? So but before I go over to the other side, I'm going to let that heel come down as I gradually push myself back up. So come down, heel is off the floor, the heel comes down as I start driving back up. Because what that allows you to do is, when your heel comes down, you can start pushing yourself up a little bit and then come across. But what you're going to find is, gradually over time, you'll be able to push yourself over from a lower and lower position. That makes sense? So I come down, the heel is up off the floor. As I'm going to transfer over there, I'm going to let that heel come down. I might come up a little bit before moving across, because it might be that rather than being able to stay down super low, I have to stay a little bit higher to get that heel down. But I'm starting to get used to now transferring from side to side and letting that heel touch down on the floor without any help at all. All I'm doing is letting that heel raise initially on the down. I'm going to focus on getting the heel down to the floor before I drive back up. And then moving on from there, that sort of allows you to then think about coming across and then working and staying low as you come across, as you're focusing now on being able to try and keep the heel down on the floor all the way through these movements. Use your hands if you need a little bit, but this is that last stage of you being able to stay into some good shapes with the heel down on the floor. Does that make sense? Are you happy with that? Then my final point with these is then making sure that we're building strength. So once you've gone through and I've worked out all of that, I'm thinking about, I want to start getting strong in the active range that I've got. So I've built up and things that people are saying, yeah, we've done all that we've just in this one session, hips are feeling better, ankles are feeling better. Let's now tell the brain we're going to go into this shape the best that we can with control and build up some strength gradually as part of that process to finish. So I take my best shape, I come down to the deepest position I can, and I drive back up. I come down to the deepest position I can, and I drive back up. So that might fit to start with for you, be literally coming to here, letting that turn, and I might get to about here, and drive back up. I might get to here, I'm still trying to create that same shape. I get to here, and I always think, yeah, a little bit lower. Yeah, okay, good. Ooh. Yeah, I can feel my glute in there, I can feel the ductor in there. So you come back to this side, that's as far as you feel you can go, but what happens if you try and just focus, sink it a little bit more, okay, yeah, I can get into this shape, and then drive back up, but with control, you really feel that glute go. And then gradually we're starting to come. How does that feel? Yeah, that feels good. Can I get a little bit lower? Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Then all of a sudden we start getting into these deeper positions of feeling comfortable in them. But as long as we are controlling through these positions, as well as working strong out of them, then you're going to be starting to build up some strength in there. Looking at sort of like 8 to 12 reps to build up some strength on each side. It might be like, for me, you'll see, like I'm much more comfortable through this left hip. That's my left side. Then, depending on the video, it will look like right. But that side, rather than here, it's a little bit harder for me to get into that shape. So I sometimes might want to work into and do a couple of reps on one side that feels tighter before working back to the other. But that essentially gives you a whole host of things to work on for your Cossack squats. It gives you a number of things. you can gradually build into some of your training. Hopefully it gives you some ideas around regressions and progressions and some of the tools that you can use. So we can use a heel raise, we can use a counterbalance or something to hold against, but also the trick of being able to get away from having to use those little tools like the heel raise, like the counterbalance. Gradually allow the heel to come off, let yourself feel that position, and then start to work into some shapes where you're building that ability and that capacity to keep the knee forward rather than falling backwards as you let that heel come down towards the floor. Anyone? Let's just so then final thing, go back and check our total position, our overhead squat. What does that feel like now? Right at the end of everything. Oh, it feels so easy now to drop into the bottom of there compared to when we started. And then with the heel, with the foot staying flat, so now think of where I was right at the start. That's with the foot staying flat down on the floor. I can almost pretty much get into that same depth after that. So how does that? Let me know how it's feeling. Jude, McLaughlin, Coach Jude, how are we doing? Your Cossack squats are c'est magnifique. Andrew Barnes saying awesome stuff from the content monsters. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate your appreciation. How is it feeling? Is it Kadara on YouTube feeling the progressions? I love the progressions. Good and glad it's helping. Venice Creative Marshall on Instagram saying the glutes are on fire. Thank you very much from Argentina. Aragalano G. Dan Walker on Facebook. Let me breathe. Good. Catch your breath. Yeah, let us know. Just find out how does it feel now. Like give us a thumbs up or just something like, yeah, it felt better now, that overhead squat, or I for someone of you, yeah, I actually that was the best Cossack squat I've been trying to do these. That's the best one I've ever managed to do. How do we just give me a final wrap up of how things got on? Whether it's just a thumbs up or whether they're saying it got a lot better. Nice thumbs up from Suri Pranka Pandi 806. Glad that's been happening. That's one of the things. Is it's important that when we're doing stuff, important for us when we're doing sessions that we're helping you to make progress during those sessions, as well as giving you the tools to be able to continue that progression, because you're not going to fix something or like magically make all of a sudden be able to do a full Cossack squat if you were quite far away at the start. But hopefully you've got the tools now to be able to go away and work on those things over weeks and months, and just think about making small improvements progressively. So that concept of progressive overload, not making big, huge changes, because that's when you try and force things. It's being happy with making those small little improvements, little steps forward, gradually, session by session, week by week, and over a longer period of time, they're going to build up to a greater improvement. And one day you'll be doing your full Cossacks. So Sharon Barnes, glad you liked it. Mark Bully, feel like I can do it much better now. Thanks, Jack. I'm glad. Zahida, overhead squat is samey, unfortunately. So depending on where we're at, like everyone's going to need different things, or going to take different amounts of time to make and see real lasting change. But one of the things is making sure that you're strong through those ranges that you have developed. That's what that last little bit was about, because that gives the brain reason to maintain that range of motion that we've done, rather than we didn't just aimlessly stretch in that to get into a better shape. Even though stretching over a period of time will give you more access to more range, but it's not going to be long lasting unless we give ourselves a reason to use that range that we are creating. So I hope that makes sense. Tomorrow, we've got a slight change of time. Tim's webinar is at 4 p.m, so 1600 hours UK time, British summer time. That is a free webinar that will be inside the virtual classroom. The link is in our description, or the link is on Instagram for definite. So head over to Instagram and you'll see the link in our bio for that. But also we'll share the link for that on for the WhatsApp notification. So if you want to get that link sent straight to your phone in WhatsApp, make sure you join the WhatsApp notifications. You just need to send a WhatsApp message, I want to join, to +44 7883 161 433. So +44 7883 161 433. And then we'll send the links out to that easily straight to your phone via the WhatsApp notifications. The link for the WhatsApp is again, that's everywhere. So it's in the description on YouTube. It's in our links in Instagram as well. Thank you guys for both of you here. If you want to watch any of the videos back, you can check those out on the replay at any time over on our YouTube channel. Just look for the playlist, follow along workouts at home, and you'll be able to access all of them that you would like to see. There's over 50 in there now, I think. Thanks for watching. Glad that your hips and your ankles and your Cossacks are feeling better. Class dismissed.